Hey everybody, Jonah Feingold here in the Romantical Studios in New York City. Thank you for being here. A little bit sicky. Going to be providing some life updates, talking about some film stuff, sort of opening monologue type things that you see in this channel. And then if you're a Patreon member, this video expands into our Q&A component, which is questions that people on my Patreon ask me about filmmaking and how to get their movies made and how to approach their creative work. And that part is only available to studio members, which you can go into the description and you can sign up if you want to see the rest of the video. If you are a studio member or an executive producer, hello. Good to hear you. Good to see you. Maybe you're watching this on Patreon or maybe you're watching it on YouTube. But it's great to see you all. Sorry for the delay. I wanted to give a couple of different updates on the Film a Month project, which is going swimmingly. Let's start there. So this month's Film is called The Roster Reset. It is about a guy who goes and breaks up with 5 other people he's seen so that he can hopefully be with the person he wants to be with. And it's good. We shot it a couple weeks ago and it was really cold outside, which is why I'm now sick, because it was like 10 degrees in New York and I was running around and there was adrenaline and it was really fun. And then, of course, I came back and started editing, and I had to turn in a draft of this Kenan Kel project, which I'll tell you guys about. And I just got sick. But, that's why I've been sort of slower on the channel and slower on Patreon. But here we are. We're back in the stew. So it was really fun. It's called The Roster Reset. And just to sort of talk a little bit about that process, basically it's a movie. It's a rom-com, anti-rom-com, rom-com, about this very modern concept. I think that the great romantic comedies typically have something to say about culture and are sort of highlighting something that we're all thinking but not saying. Whether you're Billy Wilder's The Apartment, which was a movie that sort of took the glossy sleep in separate beds, Doris Day kind of romantic comedies of that era and said, whoa, here's a movie about infidelity and about forbidden love and these darker themes, and there's like suicide attempt, but it's still a rom-com. And then When Harry Met Sally, that was the first time you see like just 2 working people who, could guys and girls be friends without sex getting in the way? And can you just be 2 people that walk and talk about love and there's no crazy plot? It's just like this very real modern relationship of 2 independent people. And I think that we just hadn't seen a movie like that touched on that. And so I'm always interested in those kind of stories right now. I'm always interested in those kind of stories, and particularly right now. And so The Roster Reset was a concept where it was like people are modern dating. You're dating around to look ultimately what you're looking for. And I think we're all, at least in New York, people have multiple partners that they're seeing, not in like a polyamorous way, but just more so in a way where it's like, you have like a group of people that you're dating. And I think that it's because of the apps and it's because of how other different ways we're connected and the ways we can stay in touch with each other. Never has it been so easy to stay in touch with somebody that you saw a year ago and haven't seen since. And I hope you guys like the film. It'll drop on Valentine's Day tomorrow. And a couple fun things about that movie. We shot it all throughout New York City. My friend and producer Jonah Weinstein flew in from Los Angeles. He produced 31 Candles. We cast some incredible people, some faces from the internet. A big shout out to Mia Weingraft, who is a Juilliard student who we just went to the Juilliard website and saw her materials and thought she was perfect. And we emailed her and she emailed us back, and that's how she got the part. And her materials that we saw wasn't even her acting reel. It was her vlog that she made 3 years ago about how to get into Juilliard. Anyway, I just love that that's the story. And I want to show you guys what we shot this movie on. Let's go over here. Now, we shot it on the Blazar 33 millimeter Remus anamorphic lens, 1.5 squeeze. Jonah, why would you shoot on a anamorphic lens for your YouTube movie? Well, I'm always trying to learn as an artist, and I'm always trying to make something that feels slightly disconnected from the reality, like most of my characters are. And I thought that this lens did that. Am I going to be returning the lens? Yes, I am. Too many problems. It's 33 millimeters on a full frame Sony FX3 really gives you like a 28 millimeter lens, and it's a little too wide. Do I think the lens crushed it? Yeah, I love the way the movie looks. I'm excited, and I would love to hear what you guys think. But it's an interesting lens that just presented more problems than solutions. And safe to say, no one has ever commented on my videos and said, "Hey, that looks like shit, so change your lens." So I don't know why I didn't just don't do what I keep to do. So I'm just going to keep doing that. But really fun lens to use. And the other piece of tech update I want to get in here is these Sony microphones I used. So hold on, everyone. So I got new microphones. I was using these old Go Rode Wireless 2s in the past, and they were good. All the videos you've seen were using those, and it was time to upgrade the quality. So now we use Sony URX P41D, boom, receiver. Absolutely love it. I want to endorse this. I want every little independent filmmaker out there, go get these microphones if you're doing your own sound. It's a wireless receiver, dual receiver. So you could have I have two wireless microphones, so I can do my scene with two people. Feeds into this. Why do I love it? The quality is fantastic. The range is fantastic. Every new location you go to, you basically resync it on the radio waves so that it can connect to your, to the correct station, basically, radio terms. I'm not very technical, as you can tell, but I have a small grasp on this stuff. And it's battery powered. So, you just need AA. So you don't need to go charge it. You can charge by USB-C if you want. But anytime you run out and you're on the street, you just put new AA's in there. Also, what's great is that this particularly is powered by there's a little shoe, and it can be powered onto the FX3 by that. So the FX3 powers the bass. I love these mics. So that was really fun. So we got some new gear in there, and we'll see how that ultimately works out. In the final cut, again, that drops tomorrow. So there's that. What other updates are interesting? I don't know if you guys saw this announcement about this Kenan Kel project that I wrote. I wrote a script called Kenan Kel versus Frankenstein, which was exciting that it got announced, I think 2 weeks ago. Very fun project, very cool. Kenan Kel, obviously legends and people I grew up loving and continue to love. And, they had this idea that they want to make a Abbott and Costello inspired film that was their re-entry and grown-up sort of reintroduction to audiences in a theatrical way. And as a comedy duo, it's the perfect idea. And so I handed in my first draft maybe months ago, and then they decided they wanted to announce the film, which is great. And just did my second draft, which I'm very excited by. They kind of wanted me to up the gore and up the horror elements of it. And I, as someone who has admittedly not written horror films before, I did my best research. I read a lot of the Shaun of the Dead script and stuff like that, and Weapons, and watched a bunch of movies, and just said to myself, how could I scare myself? And I'm easily scared, so we'll see. But really fun project, and great people, and wonderful opportunity. And it's really cool to see the way the internet sort of received that information, and wonderful example of just great classic IP, which is Abbott and Costello versus Frankenstein, and then the IP that is Kenan Kel. So very honored to be a part of it. And, right now I'm just the writer of one of the drafts, and sometimes in studio filmmaking like this, there's multiple writers that get involved. And as a director, I'm loosely attached, but very open to see kind of what that turns into. Especially because another project I've been involved with is becoming more real as well. There's a movie I'm set to direct that stars Sam Morril and Mark Normand. It's a movie they wrote called We Might Be Drunk, with their incredibly talented friends Noah and Esther. And it's hilarious, and it's got a great set of producers, including Mark Wahlberg, which is kind of fun. And it's a sort of a Judd Apatow style comedy, but it's about friendship and brotherhood and, entrepreneurship, but it's very funny. It's got their kind of sense of humor. And I think we just got our financier. So this is something I want to kind of talk about, which is, how do you make a movie real when it's at the 1 yard line? Like, when does a movie go from being sort of like, we're talking about it, we're developing it, to being real? Sure. Sometimes it's when the studio says this is greenlit. Now, even when they say it's greenlit, you still have to go to the greenlight meeting like the day before you go and actually film your movie. Let me just make sure this is still yeah, we're still recording. We still have space. Okay, we have 2 minutes. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to just delete some footage. Right. So how do you greenlight when does the movie become real? Some interesting analogies, right? Watching water boil. If you stare at it too long, you're never going to see it actually boil. Seeing a wave be formed. It kind of looks like nothing, and then it just sort of blows up and becomes a wave, and you have to paddle, paddle, paddle. This is a surfing metaphor for those who surf. Well, I'm not good at surfing, clearly, because I'm doing this wrong. But what happens with an independent movie particularly is this dangerous thing happens where it doesn't feel real for so long, and then it becomes real in our perception of it so quickly that we are then forced with very little time to act on the things we have to do pre-start of production. And so good filmmakers, like reading a defense as a quarterback, how can you see distantly outside when the thing is real, when it's not real, so that you're slowly doing the work to prepare, so that when you finally call hike and they come to tackle you, again, sports metaphor, you're actually way ahead of the game and you're prepared for that thing, while also not having wasted your time on something that isn't real. And it's a very delicate balance. And I was saying in the studio system that at least in my 2 instances of being in the studio system, they were greenlit films, but they weren't greenlit till the day we were on set. Because the day before you do a read through, you do a presentation with all the department heads to the studio, and they say, looks good. And I was like, it looks good. Were you guys going to basically pull the plug? I'm here in Mexico, or I'm here in Kelowna, Canada. And yeah, they were. They could. If they don't feel like there's a vision there, or that people are prepared, they'll push it or they'll pull it. Now, an independent movie, because there's not as much infrastructure, it's kind of like it's not happening, that it is happening. And to speak to the Sam Morril movie, I had to call my producers this morning where I said, hey guys, just full transparency. I know we have this financier who sent an offer in, and there's a deal being worked out, and we're going to make it. And some people might say, hey, nothing's real till the deal is signed. Some people might say nothing's real till the movie's done. Everyone has their own definition. My job is to, now that there is somebody who is going to help us make this movie, the movie is as real as it could possibly be. And so every single day, this movie's happening to me. What does that mean in effect? That means I am meeting with department heads. I already introduced a cinematographer to my producers. I am meeting with an AD. I'm meeting with production designers. I'm meeting with editors. My editor who I just worked with, I just introduced to my producers. I might start go scouting next week. I might go take my camera out and start scouting, even though we might not shoot in New York. Although we're going to try to shoot in New York. They want to shoot in Pittsburgh. I want to shoot in New York. We're going to see what's going to happen. We have to work in the budget. Again, budget right now is at a certain number. We have to get it down lower. How do we do that? At this level, at least in an independent movie level like this, because it's a comedy, it's not so much about taking things out of the script so much as it is smartly reworking the script to fit within the budget. It's like reverse Pangea. All these things need to talk to each other. Rather than having 50 speaking roles, you need to have 20 speaking roles. Rather than 20 different bar locations, can there be 10? And can a bunch of them play the same? Because it's not going to affect the emotionality of the story and the audience's reception of the humor and the emotions. Does this need to be on a yacht? Could it be in a mansion? Or could we get the yacht for free? And shooting days. That's typically where things with the budget start, and at least with a comedy. At least with a comedy that's about two dudes, trying to start a liquor company. So that's the latest. It's about, now I'm acting like this movie is real. The movie is real. That's the thing. And so then when the day comes that everyone's like, hey, where's the crew? We're ready to get on set and start prep. I guess this is the interesting takeaway, right? In movie prep, you think that's when all this stuff starts, but the first day of prep, everyone needs to be hired and everyone needs to be on the same page so that you can actually be using those prep days to be preparing, not to be doing these other things. That's like gathering the materials, right? You're starting to build the house. Metaphor. Gathering the materials is what we're doing right now. Prep is building the house, making the movies, living in the house, and then selling the house. Okay, there's something there. I don't know. So that's the movie. It's called We Might Be Drunk. Sam Morril, Mark Normand. Very funny script. Hopefully making it in the next 2 to 3 months. Feature film number 6. All right, so that's the status there. We're treating it like a real project. That's the takeaway. Now, here comes the Patreon wall. So first off, if you're on YouTube, thank you so much for watching this lingering video. Again, I'm sick, guys. Sorry for the mental spaces out here. I hope you guys enjoy the roster reset, which drops tomorrow on my other channel. And if you want to be part of these Q&As, where I talk about some really wonderful things, I'm going to be talking about everyday filming techniques. I'm going to be talking about shadowing directors on set, talking about getting investments into movies, film distribution, and casting. So if you want access to that, it's a monthly video. There's also other perks. I share documents and pitch decks, and you can be producers on my little filmettes that I make. So hopefully there's perks you enjoy. Go check out the Patreon link down below. All right, patrons, stick around. Here